Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. How's it going? If you're new here, my name's Rachel and I can't get my sweater off. Anyway, whatever. Hi, welcome to the next installment of Vlogmas. I got coffee outside the home today, treated myself because I had a doctor's appointment, which is always a little, I don't know, nerve-wracking, stressful. If you pair the executive dysfunction with the anxiety and you put a doctor's appointment in the mix, it's a whole thing. So anyway, had my annual skin cancer full body scan and everything's good to go for another year. So here's your PSA, wear your sunscreen, protect your skin, and go to the doctor if you can and if you need to. All right, anyway, so welcome to December 4th. Is today December 4th? Yes, it is. So I have 2 days worth of Vlogmas to catch up on, which means I'm going to be cranking 2 pairs of socks today in this video, which is just wildly exciting. I didn't even open yesterday's mystery advent. So if you're new here and you haven't watched Vlogmas so far, I'll be brief for those of you who have been here. Basically, my friend Leslie sent me a scrappy advent that she made from her own personal yarn collection, one little bag to open the first 26 days of December. So she went above and beyond. And each little bag has a card or a little piece of paper that says what is in that day's bag. There's about 20 grams of yarn in each bag. And basically, my task that I've given myself through the month of December is to crank a pair of socks using each day's offering, each day's bag, as the contrast color on that pair of socks. So I'll just show you quickly what I've made so far. Here's day one's socks. We have the pink is day one's advent. It's glitzy from Ruby and Roses. Main color is Practical Magic from Treehouse Knits. And then on December 2nd, I opened up this beautiful blue velvet from Cesium Yarn, and I cranked it with something new from Kimbers Cozy Creations. So I have 2 pairs of socks so far, and I should, hopefully, if everything goes well today, have 2 more pairs of socks shortly. So without further ado, let me open day 3. What color do you think day 3 is going to be? We've had a pink, we've had a blue. I am going to say this is going to be green. Green. We'll see if I'm right. Oh, it's even better. Okay, so, oh my gosh, this is so cute. Oh, this is so cute. So this is Honey and Quill in the colorway Night Triumphant. So this is an ACOTAR colorway, or an ACOTAR-inspired colorway, A Court of Thorns and Roses. This is so pretty. Oh my gosh. So Leslie in her note said, she swatched but never cast on. So am I to believe, Leslie, that you still have the rest of these skeins? If so, you want to get rid of them? Because this is so pretty. Look at this. This is purple. Madam! 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 She's scratching away. She has allergies. I've told you this before. Yeah, and whenever the weather changes, she gets more itchy, and it's been cold lately. Anyway, so what? Who cares? Here is the color, purple, and it's like a lilac-y lavender purple, light areas and darker areas, and then there's some really pretty speckling going on. Beautiful. Okay, so that's day 3's colorway. Let me weigh this also, just so I know what I've got here. 22 grams, perfect. And let's see, I'm not sure about the base. The bases of Honey and Quill, so let me just look this up really quickly. to see if there's nylon in it. Okay, so Honey and Quill operates her yarn sales through Etsy, and I just pulled up an Etsy listing, not for this colorway, but for a different colorway, and I'm looking at the item description and the yarn base details, and it looks like, I'm guessing this would be nylon sock because it's 4-ply fingering weight, which is 75 superwash merino, 25% nylon, 437 yards. Let's see. Yeah, this isn't the silk. And I think that is her only other fingering weight. Yeah, so, okay, so this does have nylon. I'm confident to say this has nylon. So I'm going to pick a really beautiful main color to go with this. This is so, so pretty. Okay, so that's day 3s. I briefly thought maybe I should crank day 3s and then open day 4s and then crank day 4s, but I just want to crank them in rapid succession, so I'm going to open up day 4 now. So here's day 4s. I'm going to guess that this is like a speckled, like multicolor speckled. Who knows? Like my last guess was wrong, so let's find out here. Oh, wrong again. Okay, this is cute. This is Ken yarn, which Ken Jake no longer dyes yarn. So this is a real rarity, a real luxury, today's mini cake. So this is the colorway Raspberry Sunday, and Leslie says it's leftover from her Semper sweater. Okay, it's beautiful. So I'll show you what it looks like. This is really pretty. It's like a fuchsia color, which of course I love. Really, really nice. This is also 2-ply. So because here's the thing. Because Ken Yarn no longer dyes, because Jake no longer dyes yarn as Ken Yarn, I don't know if I can look up the base information. Let's see. I don't see any website for Ken Yarn that would have that. So I'm going to go to Ravelry and search for Ken Yarn and see if I can get info there. Okay, so there's Cirrus fingering and Aurora fingering. Aurora fingering is 2-ply. And based on the Ravelry info page, it says that there is 80% superwash merino wool, 20% nylon. So based on my investigation, I am confident that both of these mini cakes have nylon in them, meaning that I can use both of them for the toes and the heels on the pair of socks. Yesterday's, or 2 days ago, December 2nd's day, was a Sorella Classic sock base, no nylon. So I did not use it on the heels or the toes. But for these two, I will be. Hey, this is like a fuchsia flower. Did you plan that, Leslie? That's too perfect. Okay, let's head over to my yarn cubbies and find the perfect pairing for day 3 and day 4 of my Scrappy Yarn Bestie Advent Calendar. All right, here we are at the cubbies. Oh, this reminds me. Okay, so I didn't realize on Monday's Vlogmas that when I opened up the Swift, it was just hitting my pothos over and over and over and over and over again. So a couple people pointed it out in the comments, and that just made me LOL, made me chuckle. So anyway, having this arm of my, what is this? See, I used to be really into plants, and I used to know all the names. This is like, what is that? What is it called? I'll remember it, and I'll put it on the screen. But anyway, this plant DJ bought for me at Costco a few years ago because we were shopping, and I saw this, and I was like, oh, that's a moon something, moonstone. At the time I was really into it, and I knew. I said, oh, that's a really popular plant. That's so cool that they have it at Costco. And DJ picked it up off the shelf and put it in our cart as a love letter to me. So this is a very special plant because it's a reminder that DJ has a crush on me. Anyway, okay, let's focus, and for our first pairing we need to find a match for Night Triumphant from Honey and Quill. I don't think I want to pair it with another purple because I want this to be the star in the purple category. And actually, okay, so yesterday or 2 days ago, I was thinking, okay, maybe it would go well with Practical Magic, but then I decided not to, and also this would be a different base, but these are the same base, 437 yards per 100 grams. So that might be a good option, pairing it with Practical Magic, but it would be a low contrast pairing. Let's be honest about that. But we'll put that there as a maybe. The other thing I was thinking was maybe Millennial Pink from Kimbers Cozy Creations. That would look pretty. I don't know. The idea of using up the Practical Magic cone is really speaking to me. So I think I'm going to have that as the tentative choice. Well, I do like the idea of Practical Magic because it like almost perfectly matches some of the purple sections in this, so it would just be a really pretty low contrast. So I think I will go with that. But I also have several skeins of yarn already caked up. Like this is 90s throwback inspired by the 90s Taco Bells. And this yarn is from Mezzo Makes. I coned it up way back when and never cranked with it. That would look really good. 90s throwback is 2-ply. And it looks good with this Raspberry Sundae. It's picking up the pink sections of that. Let me look up what Mezzo Makes 2-ply fingering weight base is and see if it's a match for the Aurora fingering from Ken Yarn. Okay, so basically this made my choice for me because I looked it up and this is Soprano Sock, the Mezzo Makes colorway, 90s Taco Bell throwback. Soprano Sock, which is 400 yards per 100 grams, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, which is the same as this Aurora fingering Raspberry Sundae from Ken Yarn. Same base, meant to be. And then this and this, same base, meant to be. So I'm going to make a pair, this is perfect. I'm going to make a pair of shorties with my Practical Magic. Probably won't use all of it, but I want to err on the side of caution. So I'll make a pair of shorty socks or like mid-length socks. And then I'll make a full-length pair of socks with 90s Taco Throwback, which is perfect because this, like I said, has been on the cone for a while, and I just never cranked them up. So today's the day. I got a few questions, though, that I'll answer as I'm prepping this. First of all, I got questions about this drill. Yes, it is a real power drill. It's just a regular power drill. And the drill attachment I got from Dean & Bean. It came with the package that I ordered for my circular sock machine. It actually did not come with my sock machine. Like, it wasn't included in the package. It slipped through the cracks. So I emailed them after my circular sock machine arrived, and then they sent it separately along with some extra cones, which I thought was really good customer service. But anyway, it's just an attachment. It's just like a rubber puck and a long screw on it. I'm sure you could make it if you knew what these things were called, what the components were called. Or you can just buy it from Dean & Bean. I'm sure there are other places to buy it also. So you stick the cone on the attachment and then you can spin it around. You could use this for hand knitting. Like, you can hand knit or crochet from a cone. You don't need to just use this for machine knitting. So I know some of you were watching that and thinking, that might be good for me. Like, if you don't have a yarn winder but you have a Swift, get a cone winder and wind your yarn onto cones. Why not? It's so much faster than not doing that. Because when I was waiting for the drill attachment to arrive, I hand coned some skeins, and it took forever, especially because it's fingering weight. So there's one question answered. Another question I got was if I would have enough cones for the whole month. And I do have a lot of cones. Like over here under my sock cranking station, maybe you can see back here, I've got a lot of cones down there. But also, as you can see that I'm doing today, you can just double up on cones. Just because there's already yarn on this cone doesn't mean I can't use it to wind this mini onto. I'm not going to use this yarn on the cone right now, so I might as well just cover it up with new yarn and then do that. So I'm going to wind these two onto the cones, and then we'll go to the sock cranking station. Cool. The cone started out white or like a lighter yarn color, and now it just looks purple. So this could really bite me if I looked at this cone and I forgot what this yarn was and then it's just a mini, because I might look at it and think, oh, this whole thickness of yarn is the purple yarn, but that is just simply not true. And then I'll get a fresh cone for today's mini Raspberry Sundae. So even though I have already cranked a pair of socks with Practical Magic, and I know what my gauge was when I cranked those, I've since messed with the tension. I changed it on Monday for my socks, and I'm changing it back to be close to what I used on Sunday for my socks with Practical Magic. But since I have been messing with the machine, it's just, there's no way to get it exactly. Basically, there's no way to recreate the conditions I made those socks in exactly. So, you guessed it, I need to swatch. But such is life. Even with just the tiniest difference in tension, there's still color pooling, but it's kind of more like striping than it was with the tension I had on Sunday. So fingers crossed that this is 3 3/4 inches wide. We did it! 3 3/4 inches. Yay! Gonna move forward with this tension. And even though I'm using the same yarn that I used on Sunday, these socks hopefully will still look unique. Yay! You know what I just realized? I measured the width, but not the row gauge. Oops. So I don't know how many rows to crank for the foot. Oops. I'll just, that was bad. That was so stupid. I'm going to think about what I should do. What my plan of attack should be. I'll think about that as I make the heel. But for future reference, I did 30 rows for the leg. Okay, I've reached a solution with the number of foot rows I'm going to crank. I'm going to crank 55 because on Sunday with my tighter tension, I needed to crank 50 rows. And yesterday with my tiny bit looser tension, I needed to crank, or no, what? Sunday with my looser tension, I needed to crank 50 rows for the foot. Monday with my tighter tension, I needed to crank 60 rows for the foot. So I think today I'm gonna crank 55 because in order to actually measure the row gauge, I would need to take this off the machine, lay it flat, measure it, and then I would lose all my project. The hung hem that I already did, the whole leg, the foot now, or the heel now. So that's my plan. I'm going to crank 50 rows or 55 rows for the foot. You can kind of see the white yarn starting to peek through as I'm working through this contrast color. All right, 55 rows for the foot. Ready, set, go. Okay, change of plans. Looking at the color pooling on the foot, it's much like the color pooling was on Sunday, which is making me think the tension is like it was on Sunday, so I'm just gonna do 50 rows. And I'm at 50 rows. So now I'll do the toe. What a roller coaster. I have the first sock done. Now I'm going to crank the second sock for this pair and then meet back here to start the second pair. Okay, all done with the second sock. I'm re-listening to Fourth Wing just because the third book in the series is coming out next month. So I'm doing a re-listen. But anyway, I've just changed the tension to the second line for this Mezzo Makes cone. So I'm going to crank like 50 rows of this on top of the socks that are already on my machine, and then take it off my machine, check gauge. I will remember to check row gauge this time, and then we'll get cranking the second sock. Okay, I am at 3 3/4 inches width. It is a little tight, but I think it'll be okay. So now check the row gauge. Okay, so I need to crank 60 rows according to the pattern, but since I add about 5 rows, I'll crank 65 rows for the foot. I have all 4 socks cranked, and I have to tell you, I made a really good choice with these color pairings. I just am very, very pleased. Like, okay, look at the Practical Magic next to Night Triumphant with this flash of the lighter blue-purple portion versus the blue-green. It's like such a cute, perfect, low contrast pairing, and then with the flashes of the blue-green section, it looks really good. And then, this is even better! Look at this. Look at this pairing. So perfect. So perfect. So I did 20 rows for the cuff on each of these, and then hung it, so it's like basically a 10-row cuff for both pairs of socks. For my first pair, what did I say? I cranked 30 rows for the leg, but that was unnecessary because I have a lot of the Practical Magic left. So I think I could have done the standard 50 or so rows for the leg, So I still have some Practical Magic to play with. I'll use that. I'll put it in some project somewhere. So yeah, so 20 rows for the cuff, 30 rows for the leg, and then I did 50 rows for the foot for this pair. And then for this pair, I did 20 rows of the cuff, 65 rows of the leg, and 65 rows of the foot. The tension on this is much tighter, so these are much more structured. This is a little bit stretchier. Like, look, you can see the light through it. Can you see the light through these? A little bit, but not as much. And I have exactly 2 grams left of both of the contrast colors. So now it's time to graft the toes closed. While I graft these together, why don't you let me know in the comments if you have any questions about the Dean & Bean sock machine. Ta-da! 1 pair, 2 pair. Time for a steam block. Okay, what is happening? How did I do this again? I don't even know how this is happening because I would have to do it. See the seam, this first sock here, right here, okay? And then the seam on the toe on this sock is here. How am I doing that? Something's not making sense. I don't know. I do not know. Never mind, it just wasn't on the sock blocker correctly. Maybe that's also true of the other day. Get it together, Rachel. Oh yeah, I love these. Okay, so here's today's pair. And let me put the pair for yesterday back on the blockers so you can see how good they look when they are nice and shapely. Ta-da! December 3rd's pair and December 4th's pair. 2 pairs in one day. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? I think these turned out really nicely. Really nicely. Definitely low contrast for the like purplish section, and then the blue-green color flashes are a nice touch. This is kind of interesting because this single skein of Practical Magic that I had, I've been saving for a special project. You know those skeins that are just so beautiful in hank form or skein form, and you're like, I need to find the perfect project, and then you just never work it up because you think, what if I work it up and I don't like what I make? That would be devastating. That has kind of happened here. I mean, I like these socks. I like the 2 pairs of socks that I've made with Practical Magic, but it is different than I imagined. Like, I imagined it to look more like how it looks here on the leg portion, more evenly distributed of the blue-green and the blue-purple, as opposed to the flashes of color, but it is what it is, and I'm not going to let it be a thorn in my side at all. I'm happy with these. So cute and so cute. So now I have dun, 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 4 pairs of socks, and in fact I need to put this sock from Monday on the sock blocker and see, did I really do something wrong, or was it just not on the sock blocker correctly? Yep. So I didn't mess up the seam at all. Oh, Rachel. All right, well, that's it. 4 pairs of socks. Thanks for sticking around and watching Vlogmas. If you're new here, I have all sorts of other videos on my channel. I have a weekly podcast. I have FO diaries, yada, yada, yada. Subscribe if you're not already. And I I'm gonna go make some lunch. Okay, see you later.